J.A. Aurora Legends, Golden Hearts. Number 3, Shoulder to Shoulder. Written and narrated by T.S. ProArt. Winona wrestled the steering wheel of her beat-up vehicle. Each rutted bump in the dirt road was like a punch to her already frayed nerves. A giddy, almost manic energy thrummed beneath her skin, fueled by anticipation, yet a deeper unease. A cold knot of apprehension kept her tethered to reality. Aurora City's backwoods weren't just remote. They felt like the world's ragged edge. Leafless trees, gaunt and skeletal, clawed at the steel-gray sky, and frost clung stubbornly to the shadowed hollows. Beside her, Void was quiet. He stared out the window, his gaze fixed on the bleak landscape. In the back, Jida's steady presence was a welcoming anchor. She cradled their son, Jay, with absolute glee, as the little one finally awoke in a happy coo. Pavnu sat beside her, her usual irrepressible cheer replaced by a contemplative stillness that spoke volumes. So, there are more of... What exactly do you call yourselves again? Winona blurted, her eyes shifting between the awful road and Void's stoic profile. The spark sighed, a tired tone that changed the mood. Sparks. We're called Sparks, Winona. Void answered at last, watching the trees dance on by. Sparks, right. Sorry. It's just... The reporter trailed off, the words tumbling out in a rush. It's a lot to take in, even after everything. I mean, 2 of my best friends turn out to be actual superheroes. Then I find out one of them's an alien, and bam! I'm fighting a friggin' goddess. Look, my brain's a scrambled egg right now, okay? A warm chuckle rippled from the back seat. Jida's voice, calm and laced with affection, was a compliment to Winona's nerves. It's alright, Winona. We understand, she assured. Suddenly self-conscious, Winona squeezed the steering wheel, noticing the silent stress within her friend in the passenger seat. Is everything okay, sorry, Void? Is everything alright? She cringed. To this, Void took a quick glance from Winona, then back to the dashboard, where a pair of Blue Bullet and Cosmic Angel bobbleheads swayed precariously with each jarring jump, a bittersweet reminder of the secret they had held back for so long. Void's gaze continuously flickered from Winona to the bobbleheads, a ghost of a smile playing on his lips, before returning to the road ahead. Yeah, I'm fine. His voice was too even, too controlled, a carefully constructed facade that did little to hide the turmoil Winona knew he felt. The car lurched violently, throwing Winona forwards against her seatbelt. A heavy silence then descended, punctuated only by the creaks and groans of the aging station wagon. Can we take a rift station next time? Pavnu asked, her voice laced with annoyance. Not with little Jay. I don't know how he would react in such a fragile state. Jada replied as she gave her son a little kiss on the forehead. Finally, Void spoke again, his voice directed towards his wife. Jida, how many of our friends have you exactly told about this? He questioned, his eyes stern and tired. Knock, Kot, Jet, the Lewins, of course. Jada began, reciting names, her voice a soothing melody. Coco, Ellie, Matthew, Muck, Taylor, Toonie, of course, even though he's still out of town, but I messaged him. Jada finished, leaning back into her seat. And the other guardians? Void's voice tightened, a thread of curiosity barely concealed beneath the surface. Winona, unable to help but eavesdrop, experienced a silent internal explosion of fangirl excitement. The Guardians, she mentally screamed, fanning her flushed cheeks with an imaginary fan. This wasn't a comic book. This was real. She was a part of something extraordinary. I mean, I tried, but they haven't responded. They're probably all dealing with their own crises. You know how it is, Jada stated. Void nodded slowly, his shoulders slumping imperceptibly. He understood the relentless demands of their calling, the constant pressure of sacrifices. Logic dictated that they were simply occupied, but the curiosity was a tangible presence in the cramped car. After what felt like an eternity of bone-jarring bumps and strained silence, the car shuddered to a halt, for a makeshift archway loomed before them, crudely constructed from a rough-cut tree log. There was even what appeared to be a greeting sign dangling above its center top support beam. Etched into it were symbols that looked utterly alien to Winona. What does that even say? It looks like complete gibberish, she said, adjusting her glasses and squinting at the indiscernible script. Void leaned forwards, his eyes scanning the intricate characters. The silence stretched, thick with anticipation, as he deciphered the language, his language. Finally, he spoke, his voice a barely audible whisper. Narshuma Hora Savuna. It says, "Welcome to Little Salvaheim." Winona hesitated, her foot hovering over the accelerator. This was it. With a deep breath, she slowly eased the car forwards, venturing into the unknown, trusting in her friends and the extraordinary, bewildering journey that they were all embarking upon. The future, whatever it held, just lay upon that archway. The crunch of tires on frosted gravel announced their arrival, a dust cloud momentarily veiling the impossible sight before them. They had arrived at the edge of the forest, the location where Void and Jada had been crafting their cabin. But the cabin was now a mere footnote in a much grander and far more perplexing area. Void, behind the glass, was frozen, stunned in disbelief. Beside him, Jada's grip tightened on their infant. Pavnu, ever the curious one, leaned forwards, her eyes wide with a mixture of wonder and bewilderment. Winona, usually armed with a witty retort of some sort, could only manage a choked gasp. Emerging from the trees, a settlement was unfolding. Rough-cut lumber formed the skeletons of buildings. Freshly felled trees awaited their purpose, and a network of paths hinted at a meticulously planned layout. Tents huddled together, temporary sanctuaries dwarfed by the ambitious structures rising around them. This wasn't just a community, it was a village in its infancy, raw and hopeful. As the car stopped, Void hesitated before pushing open the car door. Jada followed, Jade cradled securely in her arms. Pavnu practically vibrated with excitement, her gaze fixated on the scene on ahead as she too stepped out. Oh my god, Winona breathed, stepping out and letting the full scope of the scene wash over her. It was breathtaking, terrifying, and utterly unbelievable. Huh. Little Salvaheim, huh? A bit on the nose, don't you think? Jada murmured, threading her fingers through Void's own. They all moved forwards, passing Sparks, who greeted them with cheerful waves and curious glances. Families of capybaras, seemingly unfazed by the influx of new inhabitants, waddled across their path, oblivious to the cosmic implications of their new neighbors. Oh man, there's a lot of them. What a way to end the year. Winona mumbled, stepping aside to allow a particularly large capybara family to pass. The air hung thick with a mixture of awe and apprehension. Void, usually the picture of confidence, seemed even more deflated, as his friendly waves towards his fellow Sparks seemed awkward and forced. Void! Jada! Welcome back! A booming voice shattered the quietness. Core, Void's older brother, came sliding down a frosty slope, his girlfriend Sika hot on his heels. Both radiated an unbridled enthusiasm. Ha! Welcome to Little Salvaheim! The Sparkout with a broken horn shouted. Little Salvaheim? Winona echoed, her curiosity overwhelming her shock. They approached what was clearly destined to become the town center, where a team of sparks were diligently constructing a fountain, their movements a symphony of alien industry. Wait, Core, hold on a second. Are they really making homes here? Void asked, his eyes following a group of 6 sparks as they struggled to maneuver a freshly felled tree. He recognized them from the previous day, the odd team of baggy-eyed warriors. Why, yes. Earth's high M count makes it a perfect spot to settle. We were already making homes here and, well, what's wrong with a few more? If that's alright with you. You seem a bit uneasy. Core observed, his cheerful tone laced with concern. Princess Jessica, a whirlwind of energy, suddenly dashed past them, carrying Core and Sika's daughter, Joby, perched precariously on her shoulders, further highlighting the surreal nature of the scene. Look, I'm more than happy to let everyone stay, but if there's many of us, it's bound to draw attention from the city. Aurora doesn't know we're basically aliens. If they find out, we could be in serious trouble. Void's voice was tight with worry. The facade of normalcy he painstakingly constructed was crumbling before his eyes. Oh, I'm sure they won't mind. They accepted you with open arms, Blue. Why wouldn't they? Jida replied, trying to reassure him. Well, that's because I lied and said I was a bullhorn all this time. How the hell are we going to pull the same excuse for everyone here? Void retorted, his anxiety escalating. As he said this, the sharp crack of Kronos accidentally stepping on an unfinished structure echoed through the forest, earning a silent, exasperated gesture point from Void. Fear not, my friend. A melodious voice interjected. Queen Rosalind, elegant and regal as ever, strolled up to the group. If conflict arises, I will deal with it on professional terms. I promise. Her tall stature and unwavering confidence made Winona stammer, suddenly feeling inadequate. Oh, goodness. She stuttered, flustered by the Queen's unexpected presence. Are you positive on that, my lady? Void looked around at the gathered sparks, some of whom caught his eye with a nod of greeting, their faces filled with loyalty and trust. I just don't know how well that's going to go over. I'm more than happy to have you all here. It's just, I don't know if the world will have the same mindset. His gaze then fell upon his infant son, a wave of protective concern washing over him. He wouldn't risk Jay's safety, or anyone else's for this. Nova, son, if trouble arises, we'll find a way to deal with it. We always do. As the Queen replied, Core gently clasped his brother's shoulder, offering a reassuring squeeze. But Void looked utterly exhausted, the weight of leadership and deception bearing down on him. Blue, how about you go for a city stroll for a bit? Take a few swings, jump some rooftops. You know, what I do to clear my head. Jida suggested, nudging him playfully. Yeah, that could do you some good, Dad. Pofnu added, encouragingly, her eyes filled with concern for her father. If it cheers you up, I've actually gone out and bought a couple of fireworks to set off tonight. Isn't it this world's New Year's Eve? Sika announced, her voice bright, oblivious to the turmoil raging within Void. Oh, right. I forgot. Void mumbled, scratching the back of his head. The festive mood felt jarringly out of sync with his mounting anxiety. New Year's? As in the planet passing around the star? Rosalind inquired, her regal tone adding an air of formality to the seemingly simple tradition. Winona, now eager to contribute, jumped in. Yeah, it's a yearly tradition we have here on Earth. I'm Winona, by the way. Winona Specs. She introduced, shaking the Queen's hand a little bit too enthusiastically. All the while, Void looked around, the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. Each smiling face, each cheerfully waving spark, was a reminder of the potential consequences of his actions, of his choice to become a Matterbirth. I see. Perfect timing. A new year in a new world. I believe some of our allies have weapons equivalent to fireworks. Let's deem it a celebration. The Queen declared, drawing soft cheers on the Sparks who had been listening in. Void glanced back at his family, a weary nod acknowledging their support. Perhaps a swing around town was just what he needed, a temporary escape from the impossible situation he found himself within. Yeah, that sounds good. I think I'll actually take a breather. Jida, you should tell the others in town to come by. Knock, Cot, everyone who knows for the event. We'll have it here. A small, strange smile crept onto his face, and Jida nodded eagerly, relieved to see a flicker of his old self. A thought then struck Void, and he turned to Winona, who was still marveling at the unfolding scene. Hey, Specs, he called, drawing her attention. I know a lot of this is confusing, all that's happened, the truth about me, Jida and all, but if you want, I can do my best to explain. If you want to go with me for a swing, that is. I remember you saying that you'd love to do it with a blue bullet around the lunch table. Winona's jaw dropped, her eyes widening in disbelief. To this, Jida burst out laughing, remembering all the fangirl moments Winona had indulged in when they were younger. Wait, are you serious? Oh god, I'm just realizing everything I've said back then you definitely know about. Oh my god. She stammered, rubbing the back of her neck, mortified. That's fine. There's a lot you deserve to know. Besides, Void gestured towards the car. I really need to think about literally anything else for a bit. A genuine, if somewhat strained, smile played on his lips, and Winona slowly grinned back, her heart doing a little flip. The wind howled with a joyous melody as Winona clung the Void's back, laughter erupting like fireworks. Below them, Aurora sprawled, a glittering tapestry of steel and glass bathed in a pink morning light. Winona felt utterly, breathtakingly alive. Void, encased in an upgraded version of his blue bullet armor, pulsed with a gentle, internal luminescence. Each powerful stride catapulted them across the urban jungle, the city turning into a dizzying blur below. Then, without warning, the world tilted. Void launched them off a colossal skyscraper, the sudden freefall stealing Winona's breath and replacing it with a primal scream. Just as panic threatened to overwhelm her, a familiar surge of energy flared from Void's right arm plate. A staff materialized, shimmering like captured starlight. But this wasn't just a staff. It writhed, condensed, and reshaped itself into a compact, high-tech billy club. Hang on! Void yelled, his voice a strained whisper against the roaring wind. The tip of the club whirred to life, unleashing a grappling hook that snared the side of a neighboring building with a resounding thunk. An energized rope, woven from pure spark essence, stretched out as the club split, a lifeline defying gravity. With a pull, Void initiated a breathtaking swing, pulling them upwards in a graceful arc. This is beyond amazing! Winona gasped, her voice raw with exhilaration. They carved a wide gap across the northern half of Aurora, a symphony of lights and sounds blurring into an unforgettable panorama. Is it everything you imagined it to be? Void asked, a hint of amusement dancing in his voice as he glanced over his shoulder. He kicked off the side of the familiar A&N building, the sudden maneuver likely sending tremors of confusion through its unsuspecting occupants, forever unaware of the superhero spectacle performed just outside their window. "That and more!" Winona replied, her voice vibrating with pure, unadulterated glee. As if summoned by her enthusiasm, Void's wings materialized, iridescent structures of pure energy unfurling from his back with a soft, whooshing blue glowing sound. He banked sharply, aiming for a rooftop in the distance. "Holy crap, it's really you. Oh my god, you really do fly. Oh my god." Winona exclaimed, still struggling to process the sheer impossibility of it all. In a graceful arc, he smoothly settled them down upon the rooftop with a gentle bump. As they landed, he carefully helped Winona dismount her legs, momentarily unsteady from the flight. Catching his breath and reaching up, Void deactivated his battle helmet. The sleek visor retracted with a soft hiss, and then the plate shifted back, allowing him to take it off. As his face was revealed, it sent a fresh wave of astonishment through Winona. The weird kid from class, the guy who always doodled during teacher conferences, was the Blue Bullet. "Dude, I still can't believe it. You were the Blue Bullet the whole time. I knew it. I knew I always knew it." She cheered, practically bouncing with energy. "Yeah, you always suspected it. How could I forget that day you confronted me on the rooftop?" Void replied gently, a soft smile playing on his lips. He now steered her towards the edge of the roof, where they settled down on the ledge overlooking the beautiful city. The morning sun cast long, dramatic shadows across the skyline, painting Aurora in a soft golden light. For a long moment, they sat in comfortable silence, the bond of trust and friendship between them as tangible as the cool metal beneath their fingertips. "You know, Blueberry, a part of me is so glad, but another part of me is seriously cheesed off. You lied to me, dude. You and Jida." Void lowered his head, his smile gently fading. "It was all to protect you and the others. If you knew, I'm not sure if we'd be having this conversation. You were quite, well, excitable. Do you remember what happened at the bar?" Winona nodded, an understanding dawning in her eyes. "How could I forget?" she said, looking down to the scar atop her hand. "But still, it would have been kind of nice to be clued in." She now glanced away, a hint of playful reproach lingering in her expression. "Look, Jida and I are really, really sorry. But, hey, if it makes you feel any better, you've proven yourself to me time and time again that you can handle yourself now. We probably should have told you sooner." Another long pause followed, the city's symphony of sounds providing a subtle backdrop to their conversation. Then, Winona turned back to him, her expression serious. "All right, Void. Please be honest with me. What exactly are you?" Void hesitated for a moment, and then reactivated his helmet, using it as a projector. From it, a holographic image flickered into existence, displaying a picture of his family, the same image he had on the desk of his room. "Well, for one, my name is Void Novason, if you're curious. That's not a ploy. The orange guy there on the left, that's my brother, Kor, who you already know. And those two, the red one's my dad, Nova. And the blue one that's holding me, that's my mom, Celeste." The spark explained, watching Winona's astounded face. The image shifted, showing a bustling cityscape, clearly from another world, the original Salvaheim. To keep it short, we Sparks. We are a race of beings who can travel between dimensions. We, well, most of us, protected the unprotected, defended innocent worlds from threats, until the glitches came. Winona tilted her head. Glitches? She asked. Void's helmet that had been resting between them both suddenly projected images of grotesque, nightmarish creatures, the monsters that had ravaged his world. He even showed her the memory projections of him and Jida battling against the very king of the demons. Whoa, wait a second. Aren't those the monsters that attacked Aurora all those years ago? Winona asked, her voice filled with concern. Void nodded sadly. Yep. These things, the glitches, as we call them, they destroyed my world, old Salvaheim. They killed my parents, my friends. I was separated from everyone that remains in the woods. For 5 long years, I was on my lonesome, deciding to fight off those monsters as a form of revenge that slowly became my lifelong mission for a time. I was trying to stop them on my own. Void continued, his voice tinged with a profound sense of loss. 5 long years. I was alone for 5 long years, Specs. Eating from dumpsters, being rejected by every world I hopped to. That was until I landed here, Void said, gesturing to the city. I was tracking one of the monsters, and through that, I met Jida when she was doing cosmic angel stuff. She joined me, and together, we took down the monster that destroyed the skyscraper. My people. His name was Lotus. Void's gaze seemed to drift away, lost in the memories of that time. After all was said and done, I moved in with Jida, and I joined her on the mission to heal the city. And, well, you know the rest. He finished, his voice dropping to a hushed tone, a hint of sadness lingering in his eyes. So, what I'm gathering here is that you're really an alien from a different dimension, and you were fighting those monsters all on your own? Winona asked, somberly. Yeah. I was only 10 when it happened. I was just a kid. Still was, even when I became the Blue Bullet here. My mission never faltered, even when they were gone. I've been fighting for a long time. Void replied, his words sending a shiver down Winona's spine. Instinctively, Winona scooted closer and wrapped her arms around him, embracing him like the brother he had become. Jesus, Void. I'm so sorry. I can't imagine what you must have gone through. They looked at each other, a silent understanding passing between them. Both parents? Being just a kid? Alone? She continued, her voice thick with emotion. Hey, it's okay. I clearly managed in the end. It was hard, but... Void replied, forcing a small smile. But minus all the pain, minus all my fears, I'm starting to think that it'll all be okay. This little swing really has started to clear my mind. Winona smiled back, and then picked up his helmet, turning it over in her hands, admiring the intricate design she had come to know so well. Sighing, she looked back at Void, who watched her with a gentle expression. So, the kid that chewed erasers in math class is a world-hopping alien. That's the gist? Winona asked, a hint of amusement returning to her voice as a gentle snowfall began to descend upon them. Well, I guess you could say that. Floyd responded, a genuine smile lighting up his face. Well, I'm glad out of anywhere, you ended up here. Winona said, her gaze drifting to the cold, pink-tinged clouds of the morning sky. Me too, Specs. Me too. Floyd stated before stretching and standing. Say, want to fly some more before we head back to the forest? Floyd suggested, gesturing for his helmet. Absolutely. You know how long I've been waiting for this? Winona replied, a spark of excitement returning to her eyes as she took her brother's hand, ready for another exhilarating adventure. For like 9 years? Floyd replied, trying his best not to laugh out loud. The city of Aurora awaited them, but for now, they would simply soar. The memory of loss was still heavy on both ends, but the promise of a future, forged in friendship and a shared purpose, was beginning to shine through. Scooping her up with ease, Winona gasped as Void summoned his wings and soared off again, leaving her laughing out loud with so much glee. Even though the truth was now out, Winona could not have been happier knowing that her true hero was really her best friend the whole time. A crimson tear in reality suddenly bled open into a brand new world. The swirling star-shaped vortex vomited forth a scene ripped from the nightmares of gods. Molten lava wept from a jagged obsidian ceiling, hissing as it covered crumbling statues below, forgotten idols devoured by time and this infernal landscape. The air, thick enough to choke on, reeked of sulfur and the sharp metallic tang of ozone and blood. The very ground seemed to whisper in agony, a twisted labyrinth of black volcanic glass that reflected the ever-present flames. Here, amidst the chaos, scurried clockwork abominations, gremlin-like constructs whose gears whirred and limbs clattered against the unholy terrain, their sole purpose fueled by malice and the endless turning of their inner machinery. From the swirling vortex emerged 5 colossal figures, the metallic behemoths forged in fire and fear. Hatos, the towering war machine sculpted from blackened steel, led the way, the others lumbering behind him, their forms barely discernible in the oppressive firelit gloom. Each step resonated through the vast, hellish chasm, the echoes bouncing off the ruined walls like the death smell of forgotten empires. The place felt like a grotesque parody of a Sparkborn's temple, its grand design corrupted and consumed by the ceaseless inferno. Hatos' metallic optics scanned the scene, piercing the smoky haze until they locked onto a monolithic structure that pierced the fiery sky. Towering pillars, twisted and scarred by eons of heat, supported a series of elevated platforms, each a throne occupied by a shadowed figure. From within the darkness, pinpricks of crimson light blazed, betraying the presence of countless eyes watching, scrutinizing. But these on the periphery were merely spectators. It was the central throne, the one reached by a monumental staircase with volcanic ash that triggered a primal shudder in their internal mechanisms. The being who sat there was exuded an oppressive darkness, a void that clung to him like a second metallic skin. Only fleeting glimpses were afforded. Long, skeletal hands crafted from some unknown metal, impossibly thin legs that seemed barely capable of supporting his towering frame, and 2 burning, beady eyes that bore into the very sparks, dissecting their obedience and fretting out any hint of rebellion. Crowning his head, 2 ruby-red horns, each a testament to his infernal power, curved upwards, reaching and imposing 3 feet off his skull. a sign of spark dominance in his mechanical hell.
"Father,"
Hados rasped, the rumbling growl of his voice echoing in the vast chamber. And the others knelt, the screech of stress metal a symphony of subjugation against the rough volcanic stone.
"We have located the samples of the matter impulse. We believe she may have been there, on Earth."
With a metallic hiss, Hados opened the heavily armored compartment on his arm, revealing the stolen vials containing the volatile matter. As he presented them, the figure on the throne slowly extended a hand, revealing impossibly long and thin fingers tipped with razor-sharp claws. The vials then levitated into the air, their reinforced casings groaning under an unseen force. The iridescent matter within, a swirling form of captured nebula, then flowed towards the figure, drawn to him like moths to a dying flame. The figure tilted his head, a flicker of morbid curiosity evident in the subtle movement.
"Yes, I recognize this scent. A trace of divinity, corrupted and diluted."
His voice was a chilling rasp, like ice grinding against obsidian, a sound that promised pain and oblivion.
"Interesting. The matter. It speaks a different tale now. She was there, but someone knew."
The figure leaned forwards, the movement revealing a gaunt, almost skull-like face emerging from the darkness. Then, with a disturbing pop that echoed through the silent chamber, the figure unhinged his jaw to an unnatural degree, his mouth widening into a gaping abyss, a black hole ready to consume all light. He then broke the vials and inhaled the matter, looking like a grotesque parody of an astronaut ingesting sustenance in the vacuum of space. He drew it into his being, the subtle light show disappearing into his menacing gullet.
Fresh blood, turmoil, fear, the echoes of souls, reaching out, rebuilding, like a babe in the womb. A new matter birth has formed.
The figure's breath now emanated the same crimson smoke that trailed behind Hados and his monstrous brethren, a manifestation of the stolen power that fueled his dark ambitions.
"Hados, my dear creation,"
The figure said, his voice now laced with a chilling pleasure, a tone that promised nothing but suffering. He slowly rose from his throne, his movements fluid yet unsettling, like a puppet master controlling a marionette of bone and metal. He was unnaturally tall, his frame gaunt and skeletal, a spark being who seemed perpetually malnourished, yet radiating an aura of undeniable power. His appearance was perpetually cloaked in shadow, the dancing flames offering only fleeting glimpses of charred black metal skin and burning red rune tattoos etched across his body, symbols of forgotten pacts and unholy alliances. Even his heart chamber was empty, a black void where a vibrant heart should have been. The long-horned spark being descended the throne stairs, his every step a deliberate and ominous declaration, each footfall a promise of pain and devastation. Reaching out a gnarled hand, he caressed the side of Hatos' face, the touch sending a jolt of primal fear through the mechanical being, short-circuiting his logic processors and reminding him of his creator's absolute power. Then, the grip tightened, the long fingers digging into Hatos' metallic flesh, bending and warping the reinforced plating as if it were mere clay.
"Oh, my boy. I want you and your siblings to find more of this new blood. The sinner that requires salvation."
He spoke. Hatos felt a terrifying sensation. His body, his crafted seams, began to glow with a malevolent red energy, an agonizing burn that threatened to melt away his very core. Panic flared within his circuits, overriding his programming and unleashing a torrent of fear.
If they retaliate, like those that banished us here, you will make them hurt.
The figure continued, his voice now a low, menacing growl. He then began to partially and slowly disassemble Hatos. Each one of his parts ripping away with a magnetic pull, as if the very air had turned against him and was now in zero gravity.
Hurt them, slowly and painfully.
The figure made sure the spark-like nerves, the conduits of pain and sensation, remained intact with Hatos' pulled metal plates, maximizing the machine's torment. Hatos was reduced to a jumbled mess of parts, his inner skeleton and vital organs exposed, laid bare before the creator's cruel gaze. Hatos howled in agony, the screeching of tortured metal, a deafening chorus of suffering as his siblings watched, paralyzed by fear and the terrifying spectacle of their master's powers. The torture continued for what felt like an eternity before the figure finally released him. Instantly, Hatos' parts snapped back into place, the mechanical being collapsing forwards in pain, his systems rebooting and struggling to regain functionality.
Do you understand?
The figure asked, his voice devoid of emotion, the calm after the storm, as he returned to his throne, his amusement satiated for now.
Yes, Father.
Hatos gasped, struggling to regain his composure as he and the others stood back up, their metallic bodies trembling with the aftershocks of the ordeal.
Good. Go now. Do not return unless you have viable information.
Another red portal, swirling with chaos, opened with the promise of future torment.
We won't let you down,
Hatos vowed, his voice strained but filled with renewed resolve, born from fear and the promise of even greater suffering. He and the others turned and stormed through the portal, escaping the hellish throne room, if only for a little while. Once the mechanical monstrosities were gone, the figure settled back onto his throne with a low, guttural grunt, the sound of a predator settling in for a long hunt. He watched the flames rage before him, a small, cruel smile playing on his lips, revealing sharp, dagger-like teeth.
Oh, love. You should have known we'd find you inevitably.
He opened his mouth and exhaled a gust of red mist, a form of spark pollen imbued with his malevolence, which coalesced into a fleeting image of the goddess herself, Matira's face, a phantom of beauty amidst the inferno. Reaching out, the figure caressed her cheek, then clenched his claws, shattering the illusion into 1,000 shimmering particles that faded in the nothingness.
Your sins, my dear wife, appear to have finally caught up with you. Yes. Yes.
The figure sank back in the silence, alone in his world, his cage of hell, a predator sharpening his claws and savoring the impending suffering of his prey. As one would say, the hunt was on.